6:57 as reconvening our open session here in the boardroom at Zellers. So we'll start off with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right. We don't have any vacation today. Okay. We don't have any vacation today. Moving on to item 5, introduction and roll call. Ms. Flores?
Mr. Daniel Gallagher.
Here.
Dr. Mary Thompson. Here. Mr. Jason Olson.
Here.
Mr. David Montemayor.
Here.
Mr. Dan Blackwood.
Present.
Ms. Melissa Myers. Here. Mr. Alejandro Flores.
Here.
And not present, Mr. DeLeon English.
All right. Thank you very much. And moving on to superintendent spotlight.
Yes, President Montemayor, board members, at this time, I would like to ask our Executive Director for Human Resources, Mrs. Ashley Brown, to the podium. We have some special introductions for some new family members here in Little Elm ISD, so we're excited to announce these wonderful individuals. So, Mrs. Brown.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher, Board of Trustees. We're really excited tonight. We get the pleasure of welcoming and reintroducing, for one, a few new district leaders. So we'll start with our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance Services, Miss Shay Adams. So Shay Adams has over 23 years of experience in school business and finance. She has served as here in Little Elm ISD previously for 3 years when Mr. Brent was the superintendent. She served as the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Personnel. Most recently, Ms. Adams has served as the Chief Financial Officer in Lovejoy ISD, where she's been for the past 18 years. Ms. Adams is well respected in the school business and finance community. She serves on the Texas Association of School Business Officials, which is TASBO, Board of Directors, and she's currently the TASBO Vice President. On a personal level, Ms. Adams and her husband, Jeff, were high school sweethearts and will celebrate their 33rd anniversary this Friday. He also was an educator for 35 years and retired last June after 22 years as superintendent of schools. They have 3 adult children and 3 baby grands. And let me tell you, her grandchildren are the world to her, which she made it clear throughout the interview process, just how much those grandchildren mean to her. She's passionate about spending both quantity and quality time, making memories with her family. They're blessed to be a very tight-knit bunch. They enjoy spending everyday moments at church and life's big celebrations together. She doesn't have much time free from work, farm, or family plans, but when possible, her and her husband like to take short trips, and they're on a quest to visit all the Major League Baseball parks, and they have only 14 to go. So in this new role, Ms. Adams most looks forward to connecting with leaders across the district and campuses in order to best partner with each area. She believes in intentional, frequent communication, and she believes in improving student experiences through the careful and management of school finances. She is super excited to return to her home, and we're super excited to welcome her back home to her Little Elm roots, where she is a Lobo once again. So please join me in welcoming our new Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance Services, Ms. Shay Adams. And she'll share a few words with us. And if your family's here, have them stand too.
Well, there's some of them, some of my baby grands walking in right there. So my son, Peyton, that just sat down, is my middle son, and his wife, Brooke, and that's our granddaughter, Kate, there. My daughter, just a minute, sweetheart. And then my daughter, Abby, is here with her fiance, Robert. And my husband and my oldest son and my oldest grandson are on a trip to the beach right now. So they couldn't join us. But I am so excited to be Assistant Superintendent for Little Elm again. I just can't tell you. And I appreciate the warm welcome. I have gotten such a warm welcome from so many people, from Jesse and Beth today, showing me around, to really all the administration. And Ashley's taken such good care of me. I wanted to share with you, she shared ask us to share some things that a lot of people may not know about me. And one of the things that people, considering how much education is a part of our lives, may not know is that I was the first person on both sides of my family to earn a college degree. And I'm really, really proud of that. But even more than that, I'm honored that I can use my love for education and my love for accounting and join those to make experiences better for students, because that's really what it's all about. And I grew up in a home that was absolutely filled with love, but it had other ingredients as well. It had some addiction and abuse and some dysfunction. But one ingredient that was missing was a value on education. And so we try to make sure that we instilled that in our kids. And it's really what I try to make sure that I instill in my job every day, that I see the faces of those students who don't get that at home. And all of our students come to us with their glass filled to a different level. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we fill it overflowing all the way. And because I didn't have that at home, it really was my teachers. It was my public school teachers, and specifically my high school accounting teacher, that really lit that flame in me of the beautiful world of debits and credits and balancing and reconciliation. And my kids already think I'm a nerd. So I just confirmed it for them. But that really is, it is something that I'm passionate about, and really making every business transaction that I'm in charge of for a district, having that student's face behind it, and knowing that if we can clear the way to take care of compliance and auditability and all the things that are really meaningful to me, but don't mean that much so much to principals and teachers, because they need to spend their time and talent with our students the way that those teachers spend it with me. So I'm just excited to do that here, and I thank you for inviting me, and thank you for the introduction.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. I want to know what was the name of that high school accounting teacher? I wish I would have had her as an accounting teacher.
Yeah, the wonderful world of transactions and budget. I'm like, I need that teacher also. Okay, welcome to Ms. Adams. We're so very thrilled to have you as part of the family. Our next superintendent spotlight is going to shine on our very new executive director for operations services, Mr. Alfred Gacious. Mr. Gacious served as a superintendent in Oklahoma for 17 years and has a grand total of 29 years of service as an educator there in Oklahoma. Most recently, he served as the superintendent of Mason Public Schools there in Oklahoma. And prior to becoming a superintendent, he served as a principal, a teacher, and a coach. On a personal note, Mr. Gacious has been married to his wife Beth, and they have 2 adult children and 1 grandchild named Ashlyn. He's passionate about providing the very best educational opportunities possible for students. And a little known fact about Mr. Gacious is that he enjoys cake decorating. So we have to remember that when we have our next potluck here at Zeller's. In his free time, he likes to spend time with his family and really enjoys spoiling his granddaughter Ashlyn. He loves to travel, and he loves to ride his Harley in his free time. He is most looking forward to being a part of the Little Elm family and continuing the vision of Little Elm ISD. Please join me in welcoming our brand new Executive Director for Operational Services, Mr. Alfred Gacious.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited about being here. This is by far the largest district that I've ever been associated with. I've been both a coach and administrator in large districts in Oklahoma, but nothing this size. I do have with me tonight my wife, Beth. She's back there. She's also retired in Oklahoma. She is a high school counselor, school psychologist, and school psychometrist. So we hope eventually to get her here at Little Elm as well. It has been my lifelong goal to educate kids. And it's something I grew a passion for in school as well. I had that special teacher that motivated me, Mr. Callahan, by the way, if you want to know his name. He inspired me to be a social studies teacher. And I went to school to be a social studies teacher, but found out you couldn't find a job unless you were a coach as well. So I had a passion for sports, but it didn't start that way. So I started coaching as well. I've been parts of OFER teams, which won no games, and I've been a part of chip teams as a coach. So it's exciting both ways, and I just love seeing the light in kids' eyes. But some of the things that are going on in education in Oklahoma prompted me to say I've had enough of what I was doing, and I want to move to a different aspect. And as I met with the staff today at the luncheon for the operations department, I got to meet some of those wonderful people, and I truly believe that operations and maintenance and custodial crews are the unsung heroes of a school district. They're the ones who make things work behind the scenes, and most people never see them. They don't get the thanks that they deserve. And so I call them magicians today because when I was a young superintendent, I had a young principal who asked me, well, I'm a teacher. We don't work in the summers. What happens in the summers at school? And I said, well, when you walked into your classroom as a teacher and you saw your desks all in a row and your floors were shiny and your chalkboard was clean, and that's when we still use chalkboards. Your chalkboard was clean and your books were stacked on your desk and your grade book was there on your desk and everything was ready for you. And she said, yeah, that was magical. I said, you're right. We're the magicians. We're the ones who make that happen. And so that's what operations and child nutrition and maintenance and facilities does. That we are the magicians of our school system. And I'm excited to be a part of that. And we've got a great team coming in. I've got a great team that already here. And I look forward to just fulfilling and following the vision that you as the board set forth. And that's what I'm here for. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gacious and Ms. Gacious for being here. All right, our next superintendent spotlight is for our new Director of Fine Arts. So our new Director for Fine Arts is Frank Felice. Some interesting facts about Mr. Felice in terms of his professional career. He has been the head band director at the high school, Little Elm High School, for 17 years. For 11 of those 17 years, he also served as the Fine Arts coordinator here in the district. As the high school band director, he launched several successful programs there, including the jazz band program. He started the band booster organization and was instrumental in implementing and starting the color guard and the winter guard there at the high school. Prior to working in Little Elm, Mr. Felice worked as a band director in both DeSoto ISD and in Louisiana. In terms of Mr. Felice as a person, he is married to Ginger, who's also a teacher in Louisville ISD. His daughter Claire is home for the summer after her first year at Texas Tech. His son Ryan will be an incoming freshman at the high school, at Little Elm High School this year. In his free time, he still stays involved with music. Mr. Felice is the associate conductor of the Metropolitan Winds, and when he's not conducting, he loves to play his euphonium in the ensemble. He's still very active as a clinician and adjudicator throughout Texas and Louisiana. His family, the Felice family, loves to travel. Their favorite vacation over the years has been to Iceland, and they've been there twice. He really enjoys cooking outside, especially on his smoker, and working in the yard. In this new role of Director of Fine Arts, he's looking forward to working with all the fine arts teachers to build a strong team concept. He wants all the fine arts teachers here in this wonderful district to love being part of the team and the community. He wants each of the fine arts teachers in all of the fine arts programs to know that they're supported and that what they do matters every single day. That is our new Fine Arts Director in a nutshell. So if you'll join me, please, in welcoming our new Director of Fine Arts, Mr. Frank Felice.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brown, Mr. Gallagher, and Board of Trustees. I'm very excited about this new opportunity. I will tell you that it was very interesting today. I started cleaning out my desk. And when you've had the same desk for 17 years, even though things have changed a little bit in the last few years, it's going through a bunch of memories. And today, as I was cleaning out my desk, it was unbelievable, all the little cards and all the little keepsakes and things you tuck away from kids from year to year. And you find a picture of a kid who graduated, and now they've graduated college, and now they're teaching and doing great things. And it was kind of an emotional day. I told my wife earlier, I said, I kind of had to walk away from the band hall this afternoon after a few hours because there was just so many memories there for all the years that I've been here. This past year, I finished my 26th year of teaching. And I'll tell you what, I told Mr. Gallagher and I told the interview committee in the process that it was a hard decision for me to make at first because I still love teaching. And I still love being in front of the kids, and I still love being in front of the band. But I'm excited about this, and I really believe that, we spend so much time talking to our academic teachers about the importance of what they do, and that's a necessity. We know that. But our fine arts teachers have a unique opportunity because of the role they play to get kids fired up about something. And it's that buy-in. And when a kid has a buy-in and a reason to want to be at school, whether they're passionate about creating a sculpture, drawing something in art class, becoming a dancer, singing in the choir, anything that gives them that buy-in is another reason for them to be there. And so I'm very grateful for our fine arts teachers, and I want to do the very best that I can to support them in their role so that ultimately our kids are just more and more successful. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And thank you, Ms. Felice and family, for being here as well. And our final spotlight is going to shine on our brand new Director of Network and Technology Services, Mr. Greg Burcham. Greg Burcham is coming to us from Midlothian ISD, where he spent the last 6 years serving as the Director of Technology Services. As the Director of Technology Services there are many major initiatives that he was able to accomplish. A few of them are, he was able to complete the implementation of Apple products for all students and over 900 staff. He was also instrumental in the bond construction, planning, and implementation for 9 district facilities in Midlothian. And he was instrumental in the deployment of interactive display panels for all the classrooms in Midlothian ISD. On a personal note, Mr. Burcham is married to Heather, his wife, for 20 years. They have 2 children, Samuel and Hope. He is passionate about providing opportunities to students so that they can realize their full potential. He's passionate about his faith and passionate about serving others. A little known fact about himself, this is super interesting. That movie Twister from a while ago with Helen Hunt, he worked on the set of that movie, and he has seen dozens of tornadoes in person. So we might have our very own storm chaser on staff now, and we might need to ask for his autograph. In his free time, he enjoys watching and playing basketball and enjoying time with his family. And in this new role as the Director of Network and Technology Services, he's looking forward to becoming a part of the incredible LEISD family and positively impacting generations of students to come. So will you please join me in welcoming our brand new Director of Network and Technology Services, Mr. Greg Burcham.
Board of Trustees, Mr. Gallagher, I very much appreciate the opportunity. I'm very excited about this opportunity and what we can do here together. And I'm here to serve and so that students can learn. I'm a very firm believer in the power of public education. I was also impacted by a teacher, Jan Hill, who showed me great opportunities when I was a senior in high school. And it opened up a world of possibilities for me. And that's why I'm here today doing what I do. To use Miss Adams' phrase, I am a firm believer in the wonderful world of zeros and ones. And that's what I love doing for kids so that they can have what they need and it works for them. So I'm very glad to be here. My wife and kids, unfortunately, had an event at church tonight, but they will probably be around in the near future. So
Thank you.
So on behalf of the whole district and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we just really want to welcome all 4 of you to the Little Elm ISD family. We are looking forward to the significant positive impact and contributions you'll have on our team. So Mr. Gallagher, that concludes our spotlight.
Yep, thank you. And Mrs. Brown, I want to echo that. Just thank you. The four of you are a great example of just the quality of just quality we're bringing into the district. So thank you for joining Little Elm ISD, and we're looking forward to working alongside each of you. Board members, do you want to say anything?
No, just on behalf of the board, I want to, welcome everyone to the district. Welcome back to the district in one case. It's pretty impressive to see, the passion with which everybody's coming on board, becoming, a member of the family and working together. And we're, as the board here, we're here to do what we can to support that. So thank you very much. And please don't ever hesitate to reach out to any one of us with what we can do. All right, so with that, Ms. Flores, do we have any citizen input?
No, sir.
No, okay. All right, so moving on to our reports of the superintendent.
President Montemaro, board members, at this time, I'd like to ask our Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Ross Roberts, to the podium.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Tillman. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gallagher, Board of Trustees. We're going to keep the good times rolling here and all of the positive things that are going in the direction that we have in this district. I want to be the first to congratulate our new family members. I have the honor of serving on the interview committee for these teammates, and it was a fantastic experience. So I want to welcome them. It's a great place to be. So congratulations. I have the honor of introducing two really key components to our guidance and counseling department here in Little Elm ISD. And it is a great opportunity now to do a board update about our counseling services here for our students within the district. So we are happy to do that. Tonight I have with us Ms. Denise Jensen, our Director for Guidance and Counseling, and incredible all-star alongside of her, Ms. Kelly Byers, one of our wonderful counselors. And so they are going to come to the podium and share some of the great things that our counselors have in place and implementing and working on and making available to our students and our adults in the district. I will tell you that Ms. Jensen's leadership has taken us to great heights in terms of really changing the thought process with counseling services and being proactive instead of reactive. And you will see a lot of the steps being implemented and the things that are put in place will definitely illustrate that. So at this time, I'd like to bring Ms. Jensen, Ms. Byers up, and I'm going to turn it over to them. They have a great slide deck, and I'm going to hand them, they requested the clicker. There you go.
Thank you, Ross Roberts. And Ross is a great support for ours. He's our supervisor and the support for the counseling team. Mr. Gallagher, thank you for your time and opportunity and Board of Trustees here. We appreciate the support you give to our students and your interest in our counseling program. I'd like to just show you a couple slides that we look at and we talk about this. So in 2018, the Texas Counseling Association developed and edited the 5th edition for our counseling program. TEA has just now adopted this. So this is what we're using as we move forward. So I wanted to be able to look at the 3 different levels that we look at. So elementary, and I brought Kelly Byer here tonight because she's been instrumental in our elementary program. I'm excited that we have created a locally developed social emotional learning curriculum. Mr. Clint Miller, who is in student support, and I met with 3 campuses, principals and teachers. We met with Oak Point, Chavez, and Brent to talk about how we could together with teachers and students support our students with teachers and counselors. And we developed a counseling program through the counselors. We then took it in that summer and we met with, it was a wonderful 2-day experience. We had 40 teachers that met with us to say, yeah, no, we like this. No, this doesn't work for us. And we were able to really fine tooth what we wanted to be able to show for our students. And so together in partnership, the teachers on Monday actually have a 10 to a 15-minute lesson that they present to the students on the skills that we're working on. And on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, they have some other activities activities that they can add to that. They have their restorative circle on Friday. Then our counselor, especially at Chavez, we piloted this last year at Chavez, and it was an excellent opportunity. Kelly Byer was able to, and this is my direction and where I want to go, she was able to be in every classroom once a week. And that's where we need our counselors to be. And through that next part, then the teachers also gave through a rubric on students that maybe needed additional support and help. And so she then had small groups. What I'm really excited about offering for next year is Tier 3. So our elementary, our middle school, and our intervention counselors were able to, and thanks to the district for their funds, to be able to go and work through Dr. D. Ray and to be certified trained. Now I need to think about how I word this because it is school-based intervention. Our counselors are not therapists, okay? But they're working on how to help develop the skills for our students. So they were certified in school-based intervention. So they're going to be able to add that third level for students who need that extra support. So that's what our elementary counselors have been working on, and we're really pleased at what they've done. So the next part, we look at middle school. Now they're working towards the crest. I'm not really big into awards. I like being in the back. I like us doing the work. But what I like about the crest, and that's counselors reinforcing excellence for schools, if we follow this, if we're chosen, and this will take about a 2-year process, that means we are doing we're supposed to be doing in the model. And the secondary counselors are working on this as well, but the middle school really started off with that this year. The other thing we looked at working with the English department is we partnered with them on character education because our Texas Education Code, we now are implementing character education in the school systems, and we do that in partnership with the English. Our 8th grade students still have individual meetings with parents and students on their 4-year plans. That exploration is to what pathway they want to follow in career, college, military, life readiness. And we do that with our career investigations course. And that is just an amazing course that we're able to offer for our 8th graders. Some things that they're adding new for next year, the counseling connection. So at the high school, our high school counselors have always been once a week outside the cafeteria. I believe wholeheartedly in not taking students out of classes the most we can. So if we can do things at lunch, and that just gives us visibility for students to be able to stop at the table if they have a quick question, something we can hand information. So we're excited that the middle school is going to start with that counseling. They're going to call it counseling connection. At the high school, it's a counseling corner. Our community partners, I met last week with Kim Groff and Love Packs. We're going to add some more to that. The food bank has the supplies, the willingness to offer food weekly for families in need. So we're going to be looking at how we put that together. A new thing for us at Little Elm is Refresh Little Elm. Elizabeth Watkins, who really has refreshed Frisco, we've always heard students say that they needed personal hygiene and materials, and that's not through the food bank. So through Refresh Little Elm, we're going to have at both middle schools, we're going to have personal hygiene free products available for students that they'll be able to get through the nurse's office. And Tony Nelson has been very instrumental in working with us on that too. And our intervention counselors are always part of SHAC, the School Health Advisory Council. And again, some responsive services that we're moving down, transitioning to the middle school is the Hope Squad. Mr. Gallagher brought that to our attention through Prosper. It's an excellent opportunity for a suicide prevention program, and we're moving that down to the middle school. Our intervention counselor does small groups with a instructor here at Goals for our REACH students, and she also does home visits for our 5th graders who maybe struggled academically or attendance. We want to make that connection. We're passionate about kids and we want them to feel good about school. So by having that summer connection, we're hopeful that that'll give them somebody that they can rely on and know. So again, at the high school, again, Miss Michelle Gentry is the lead high school counselor. She does an amazing job for us secondary. She's putting a lot of these high school programs down to the middle school. One of the things we're working on, I welcome any of you to come and I can show you our Wolfpack track. We're trying to get things more web-based so parents and community members can see our calendar at a glance, what we're working on and what we're doing. And those, again, are focused on the social emotional, the mental health, and also the career and college and military ready. So at the high school, Ms. Gentry was also very instrumental in starting one day in that school day. They focused the entire day on mental wellness and post-secondary planning, and that's been an awesome opportunity. And just like in the middle school, they pair their social emotional lessons with the ELR department. They have the Hope Squad, and I said they have the Counselor Corner, which is every week. It allows students to see who they are and maybe ask some quick question as they go through. Our services, and not always have the counselors been really thrilled, but counting is changing. We have to have a purpose. We have to know that there's a reason for what we do. So the counselors are logging their time, which wasn't always a real positive when I brought that up. But we look at our community campus improvement plan. We look at our district improvement plan. What is it our students are in needs? We do surveys to find out what are we bringing to our students? How can we best help them in the education? And again, the ninth grade counselors or the counselors for the ninth graders meet each family and their parent individually to review, to look again at their academic plan. And again, that's not set in stone, but we want to give students the best opportunity to have that enrichment for those 4 years. And by allowing us to have individual meetings in 8th grade and 9th grade also, it gives them a better opportunity to know what they want. Our counselors also meet individually with sophomores and juniors, more in a classroom setting. For seniors, they meet within the fall to make sure they're on track for graduation. They know what they want to do. And then they meet again with them in the spring to make sure they've done everything they said they were going to, and we are good to go. So we look at what we're wanting to do next year is to add more interventions in small groups. It's something that we've not been as proactive as we're wanting to go. So we're looking at study skills, organization, goal setting, just different small groups that we can address the gaps for our at-risk students. And all of our counselors are working on SMART goals. They love when I talk about specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely goals. We want to make sure that what we're doing is what kids need. And again, both the middle school and high school are working towards the CREST. And I think the last one is on questions. And I welcome you to email me, djensen@littleelmisd.net.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yep, D, and then Jensen, Jensen,
Thank you.
@littleelmisd.net. I'm also here Monday through Thursday. If you would like to come up and make an appointment, I welcome that. And I'm old school enough that you used to be able to find my phone number in the phone book. So welcome back, 903-647-8171. I don't answer numbers I don't know, so leave your name and number. And if I have not gotten back with you in that 24 hours, do it again. I missed it.
Thank you.
Okay. And again, I want to thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, Board of Trustees? Any questions? All right, perfect. Thank you, Ms. Jensen, Ms. Byer. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Thompson.
I cannot be a counselor up here and not have a comment.
That's,
I'm over here. I was about to stand up and clap. I'm like, can I clap and cheer? I am so excited about the whole thing. The whole program, suicide prevention and intervention at the campus level, and that program is peers that also get involved. That's where I started when I was 15 as a peer camp. I'm gonna date myself. The Red Ribbon Campaign, the Just Say No program, and the DARE. I'm that old, but my school counselor got a grant, and that's what she did, was create those programs at my school, and that's where I started becoming who I am today. So that's my person. So, yes. But I really want to applaud you for getting that started. And I'm 100% just excited to hear that that's going to happen. We have those rates rising. COVID, they went further. Kids who were in athletics, they started presenting that had never presented before. And so it's so needed right now. And I'm just very excited that we're getting this.
yeah. Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Thank you, Ms. Jensen, Ms. Byer. Thank you. Any other questions? Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Robertson. And Mrs. Jensen and Mrs. Byers, thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Ashley Glover to come up to discuss federal funding. Always a fun topic.
Good evening, President Montemayor, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Gallagher. I was sitting there trying to figure out how to follow up the binary code, the exciting world of debits and credits, and a phone book. So I was like, okay, we'll bring it on home with the federal funding. So this evening, I do have the opportunity to bring you our intent to apply for federal program funding. We'll be bringing this to you each year and sharing with you the funds that we intend to apply for shortly. These include our Every Student Succeeds Act, our ESSA, which is our Title 1, 2, 3, and 4, formerly known as Perkins, the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act. Nothing can be like a short title. Everything has to be fully explanatory, so you can see that here. IDEA is the Individuals with Disabilities Act. Our CARES Act, also known as ESSER 1, also known as the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Our CRRSA, which is our Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, or ESSER 2. And our ARP, our American Rescue Plan, ESSER 3. And then additional grant opportunities. We were informed on Thursday, we actually will be receiving the ESSER Supplemental. So we have 4 ESSER opportunities here before us, and that's brand new, of course, in response to our current events in our lives. So I want to share with you that we do intend to apply for those. On the next slide, I will share with you how much they are and also how we solicited feedback from the community. That's something that was really important to us to learn how people felt about how things had gone, how we can best meet the needs of our students with this new funding. And so you'll see here in front of you, all of this is on the TEA website, but to make things more condensed, I wanted to share with you the entitlement amounts and the grant period for each of those. You can see they kind of have different grant periods. ESSA and Perkins and IDEA are really for the next school year, but ESSER 1, 2, 3, and supplemental, you can see is upwards of several $1 million. And so that does not all need to be spent this year. That we have an opportunity to really plan for how we want to make that the most impactful things for our students. And so we have all the way through 22 with ESSER 1, and we have all the way through 23 with ESSER 2, 3, and supplemental. All of ESSER programs start with pre-award with a date of March 13th, 2020, when COVID, that's really the official COVID date for the federal government. And so what we did in order to get some great input, and I was very proud of our community because on ESSER 3, I got really excited. That's how you know you're in the right spot. Okay, ESSER 3 survey, we got 542 responses. That was incredible. And so people really gave us their feedback, and it wasn't just yes, no questions. You know, we had questions like, what do you feel is the most impactful? Please select these. And of course, that was sent out in English and Spanish. Also, I shared this information with our District Education Improvement Council on our meeting on June 14th, and then again on another meeting this past week, and share that information so that they could look at that, talk to their neighbors, their friends. You know, does anyone else have any feedback on their thoughts on these particular to apply for 21-22? What questions may I answer for you?
None today.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Glover. We appreciate the federal government picking March 13th because that was the day that was spring break and never came back.
That's right.
So it lines up with the district. At this time, I'd like to ask our Executive Director for Special Populations, Mrs. Courtney Clover, to come up to the podium.
Good evening, President Montemayor, Board of Trustees, Mr. Gallagher. Thanks for having us here tonight. I'm here tonight to present our annual board update for a Special Populations Department. And I believe we're going to look at the presentation, and then you have a full report that's in board book that begins on page 21. And I have to do the clicker. So in alignment really with our district mission and vision for engaging, equipping, and empowering each student, the Little Elm Special Populations Department has gone further to define engage, equip, and empower as it pertains to the work that we do, and also aligns with the district mission. So looking at engage, equip, and empower, we want to engage students in learning with the appropriate levels of academic, social, and behavioral support in the least restrictive environment. We want to equip teachers, service providers, and staff with skills and training in order to support inclusive practices and provide the specially designed instruction necessary to meet individual students' unique needs, ultimately equipping our students. Empower, we want to build collaborative partnerships with parents, families, and community stakeholders to promote best possible outcomes for students through Section 504 and the ARD process. Speaking of March 13th, 2020, I really wanted to bring attention to the board in how incredible, the incredible staff that we have here in Little Elm ISD. Our service providers, evaluation staff, and our teachers and paraprofessionals have risen above this past year in providing services to students. So I wanted to just take a minute to reflect and share about that with you guys, because we have the absolute best specialized learning teachers, paraprofessionals, and therapists around. From the very moment that we closed school on that fateful Friday, the 13th, the special populations teams double-timed their effort and worked to ensure that learning continued for all of our students. There are several examples that I could share with you. I'll give you a couple quick ones. For example, we had a family at Lakeview Elementary whose parent was also disabled, unable to go get meals. We had teachers and service providers picking up meals from our meal service and delivering meals to their home to make sure that our kids would be fed and they could participate in learning. At the high school, we had a student who was a hair shy of being able to graduate, literally seconds from dropping out. The outreach that the special populations team, in conjunction with other teachers and administrators at that campus, that student was able to graduate that year. So keeping those kids on track, on time, the investment that they have in their case management is amazing. One of our base and base plus teachers at Brent Elementary had hosted daily virtual group and partner social skills virtually for her kids to ensure that they were still connected. They were practicing their social skills, even though it was through a screen. They were, making sure that those kids were still connected, because that's really where their needs were. And our teachers at Strike as well. Walker, our life skills teachers, man, they really rose above. Some of the progress that some of our students and our teachers were able to come out of this and being challenged with this, some of the innovative practices that they've been able to create that we can sustain moving forward. But the work that these people have done is just incredible. And we've seen such great turnout with partnerships with parents. We've got, a student who's actually walking upstairs by himself for the first time ever in his life. Because of the connection and relationship that our teachers were building with parents and siblings, and teaching them even through a screen of how to support him going up the stairs. And then also, other things like our assistant director in the curriculum department, when we were here trying to develop and plan what virtual instruction was going to look like, we have kids who Wi-Fi and virtual wasn't really going to be an option for them. That was a struggle. And so Lori Tobin, our assistant director, she really ran with, she had a system with our case managers. They would email whatever work kids needed. We'd come up here and she would print them and we'd mail them out, or we would do Uber learning and drop them off at families' houses so that all of our kids had their learning materials. So these are just a few examples of the incredible work that our providers and teachers have been doing, so especially in the most challenging of times. So I wanted to share that with you because we have really great people. And so on that note, some great people that I would like to recognize are the following. Lori Tobin, our Assistant Director for Special Populations. Katie Gonzalez, Educational Diagnostician. April Hill, educational diagnostician. Joanna Mullins, licensed specialist in school psychology. Lisa Neal, speech language pathologist. And then Dr. Megan Wolf, she's actually in Washington, D.C. now, but these ladies have served as our special populations leadership team, and the work that we were able to accomplish this year and moving forward could not have happened without them. So it always takes a team. This is my village, so I appreciate you guys letting me introduce them to you. The next part that I wanted to share with you too in relation to COVID is that as part of our COVID protocols, which good thing we don't have to do these moving forward, there are some things that are going to stick around, and we've been able to learn and grow and create some innovative ways to help serve our kids in different capacity. But I did want to share with you guys that the special populations protocols were actually featured by Region 11, the service center, to share with other districts in the region. And we were also part of a model list from at Region 10 Service Center in Richardson. Now to business and numbers. So I know people have talked about ones and zeros and red and black columns, so I'll share some of ours with you. So these numbers that you see here are also part of the comprehensive report that's in Board Book, but these are numbers as of the last day of May from year to year. So you can see what our growth is for students with IEPs. And as from 15-16 to 2020-21, special education in Little Elm ISD has grown by 270 students. Currently, we have 865 students eligible. We have 76 initial referrals still in progress. That team out there will be up here this summer doing some testing and writing reports, so the work doesn't end. And then of those initial referrals that are in progress, 21% of them are ages 0 to 5. So over time, our trend data will show you that our numbers with littles are continuing to grow. So as COVID has come and gone, we're also going to likely see an uptick in those young children referrals. This school year alone, we completed 305 initial referrals. And that's not including the 76 that are still in progress. The next slide that I wanted to share with you is trend data on disabilities, primary disability codes. And the reason that I'm bringing this to your attention is because there's some legislation that's recently happened that's going to impact how we evaluate students for reading disabilities. So if you look, again, this is throughout the school year, changes in primary disability. So we had an addition of 213 primary disabilities this school year. That does include some reevaluations or changing primary order. And then as our little ones start to age up into school age, some of those requirements change and our evaluation data changes with that. But if you look at 0-8 for the disability category of specific learning disabilities, we have added 70 primary disabilities there with a total of 330. And then 0-2, other health impairment, for an increase of 30 for the school year 160. Those are our top 2 eligibility categories. So specific learning disabilities, specifically to things like basic reading comprehension, math fluency, math calculation, what we would think of as academic in nature. And then for other health impairment, while it can be a number of things that are medical, we have a high number of students who are eligible for like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That's probably our most frequent other health impairment. These 2 disability categories we project are going to be growing significantly over the next 3 to 5 years as we begin to evaluate students that we suspect of having dyslexia or a dyslexia profile through a full evaluation under IDEA. So that will impact lots of things for us: workload, caseload, students becoming eligible, services we're providing. The immediate need will be evaluation staff because the workload is extremely heavy. And then this next slide that I have for you, I brought to you last year in the comprehensive report Also, you'll see percent of staff to students that are specific to our special education program. And if you recall from the Region 10 program evaluation that we had presented along with the board report last year, we had a significant deficit in staffing in special education. And I know that there's been a dedicated effort to helping fill that void. And so we are extremely grateful for that. You can see in our numbers that percentage is increasing in response in comparison to our student population. And our goal primarily last year was to increase the quality of services by providing appropriate staffing for students. And carrying over into that for this next year, for 21 and 22, we want to continue to increase the quality of specially designed instruction by providing appropriate staffing and supports. Our action steps are a little bit different than last year, but we know that this is an ongoing goal for us to continue to fill and meet the needs of our kids. So really, in summary, that pretty much summarizes our annual report from Special Populations. We appreciate your support. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Clover, I just want to take a second to recognize your leadership team and number one, thank you all for being here tonight, and just thank them for their work. And, it is a team, it's your leadership, but it's also this team working as a collective group. So thank you all so much for what you all do. So appreciate y'all. And y'all don't need to stay for the rest of the board meeting unless you want to.
I texted them ahead of time, so
Okay.
they're ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clover.
You're always welcome to stay, though.
Yes. Not kicking you out.
All right, at this time, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you, Superintendent Gallagher and members of the board. President Montemayor, we're here to go over the first quarter 2021 growth report. I don't know how many I started thinking, how many growth reports have I done for y'all? And they always seem like it's just the same information over and over again. It's just doesn't really change. There are some things in this one I think are kind of interesting. I'm just going to hit the highlights just so I don't bore everybody about all the data in there. But there are some little interesting tidbits through this presentation. And I'm not sure if we can bring that up. If not, I can talk through it with y'all if it's in y'all's board report. So.
No,
and hopefully I put it in the right place, So if I didn't, I apologize on that.
While he's pulling that up, I do want to take a minute to recognize you. This is technically not technically, this is going to be your last board meeting with us. So I just want to say thank you, Mr. Reeves, for your service to the district and me always being able to reach out to you and send you the pictures of piece of concrete or whatever.
I love those pictures.
Well,
so
I may still send to you.
So I'll do
but
that.
just thank you just for everything you've done for the district.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher, for your leadership, especially during this last 18 months of COVID. It's been one of the most challenging, I think, on the operations side. I know from your perspective, I'm sure there's things I don't even know that you were going through on your side. So thank you for your leadership. I want to thank the board. I'm not going to get emotional, but I just want to thank the board so much for holding us accountable because your heart's in the right place for kids. And I appreciate your love for kids to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So I always appreciated you. I knew where your hearts were about kids and everything, you wanted us to do was for kids.
Well, don't get emotional. You've done a great job.
I still got to get through this presentation. Coming up here. It's a growth report.
We're doing a good job of stalling.
I can go extend it longer. No.
Okay, there
I do
we
want
go.
to thank this team over here. There's not a group of smarter people that I've worked with. Just in every area that I've learned so much from. I only hate that I don't get to work with Mr. Gacious because I had the pleasure of going with him today and just seeing everything that he did in Oklahoma. And I go, I think I'm going to call him when I'm in Carroll because I think he can help me with some things out there too. And especially my operations team, Danny, Joel, Carolyn, bless you, JW, Kendra, everybody, Lily, Sarah, and Carol. They did the heavy lifting and it was a pleasure to work with them. And just, so it's an honor and a privilege to be able to work with y'all. So, all right, we're up.
So now the presentation.
Okay. So the first quarter 2021, If we go to this first slide, this is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a growth report that showed the state of Texas having an unemployment rate higher than the national average. So that's a little tidbit that I thought was interesting. We're still okay in the DFW area, but that was an interesting highlight. The next slide, actually the next several slides just show a decrease in the total number of students enrolled in Texas schools. Typically, we were seeing about 80,000, 60 to 80,000, year over year. We saw 180,000 decrease. And so that's not kids that went to charter schools. So they may have gone to homeschool, or I asked the demographer, where'd these kids go? And he's like, I really don't know where they all went. So, but we do know that they will be coming back. If you notice, the next year, we're looking at about 400 students and growth, and he's still sticking to that number. So we're going to hold him to that. So just these next slides just show a different representation of what we talked about. Talks about the zones where in Texas where kids were lost is typically in those regions where we saw a lot of growth. We saw a lot of people in those Dallas-Fort Worth area, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin that we saw a loss in enrollment. I will say, though, that Little Elm is one of the few areas that actually saw an increase in students. It was very small, around 40 students, but we saw an increase. Region 10 and 11 saw, I think, a 2.2 to 2.9% reduction in enrollment, respectively. And so I think a lot of that has to do with the nature of our district, but also those two new middle schools that Mr. Martin did a great job on. So I just think we had a great pool and great image for Little Elm ISD. If we look at this right here, it just shows where we are in consideration of our vacant developed lots, things like that, where our growth over time is just 0.5%. I'm sorry, this is about our growth. So we see a 0.5% growth in our district average. We're going to look at about 6% next year is what we're going to look at for that. If you see this list here, this just shows Little Elm in comparison to surrounding districts. Remember, these are our inventory, our vacant developed lots, and our future lots. We continue to go down this list because we're becoming more built out. So you'll see us kind of drop off from there. This just shows our closings and our starts and our closings. And we are seeing a little bit of a decrease. Some of that is because of the environment. You know that the market now with the cost of lumber, things are going up. Also, we're seeing a lot of businesses come in and start buyout neighborhoods. You see, they're using that for their compensation packages, a lot of times too. And so a lot of times first-time home buyers can't get those houses because they can't come up with that cash. And when I was newly married, I had to go, get a mortgage and all that stuff. I had to apply for a loan. These companies don't have to do that. They can pay cash up front. So that's having a little effect on the market. These next ones just show our annual closings and our vacant developed lot distributions and our future distributions by elementary school zone. Remember that red area of Oak Point is our fastest growing still, has the greatest potential for more growth, for more development. And so the tribute as we go through, we'll see that we're still seeing that's one of our fastest growing zones. However, if you look at the number of future lots, we got about 2 years till build out. And Mr. Montemeyer can speak to that too, since he's down there. So about 2 more years, that'll be built out. If we look at Valencia and also the neighborhood there that we see, that's the Paloma Creek South area, that is probably about a 5 to 6 year build out for these areas. So there's still time for growth, but that Valencia, which is over on the right side, feeds Lakeview. So remember, we moved that portable over to Lakeview just to make sure we were there for that increase of student population. And whenever, let's say, the board or the community decides to have another bond package for elementary campuses, if we build one in Oak Point, perhaps we take Paloma Creek South over to the Lakeview zone. This is interesting too. This is a little thing that you may or may not have noticed, but if you look at our pre-K numbers and our K through 3rd or 4th grade numbers, you see a decrease. And that's the first time we've seen a decrease in those lower grade levels since I've been here. So it's been in here. So on average, we've seen a decrease in our lower grade levels, but seen an increase and our secondary levels, that could be the COVID-related factor for that. This is our typical one. You all know that high schools, got capacity issues right now. We know that's a high priority for Mr. Martin on, what he's looking at for future planning. We know that Oak Point is another concern for us as well. On that, we just put a portable out there yesterday, a 4-classroom portable out there. And so Lakeview. So I'd say as we're thinking about as the board's thinking about future bond planning things, those elementary campuses and those high schools are probably a high priority for y'all. So just in conclusion, just some little tidbits is that we've seen a decrease in overall state enrollment of 180,000 students. We're looking at that coming back to in Little Elm ISD 6% growth next year for that. And also that we continue to see more developments in Oak Point coming up. And so I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, Mr. Reeves, I just want to again say thank you for your service to Little Elm ISD, and I wish you well. And Carroll ISD, which is not too far from us, but I'm sure as we talk today, we'll be talking more. And I appreciate you working with us through the transition and working with Mr. Geisha. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you all for the flexibility as well. So
absolutely.
I just wanted to echo that as well, just on behalf of the board. Thank you for everything. I know I also would send pictures now and
That's
again
okay.
of stuff, and I'm sure everyone did, and you're always very responsive, very on top of things. I know you always had what's best interest of the kids as well, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So.
All right, so now moving on to the approval of minutes. The first item is consider approval of regular board minutes from the May 17th, 2001 meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any questions or comments on that regular meeting minutes?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor? Any against? Yep. All right, then we have the special board meeting from the same day, May 17th, 2001. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a motion, a second?
Second.
All right, any questions or comments on those? Okay, all those in favor? All right. One against or abstain? All right, perfect. And then we have the consider approval of special board meeting minutes from the May 26th, 2001 meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right, motion passes. All right, thank you very much. And now we have our action items. We do need to consider approval of election of officers. So I guess we'll go, is there a motion for, does somebody, maybe just motion the president candidate?
Yeah, president first, and vice president and the secretary. So I'll make a motion to nominate David Montemayor for president.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on that? All right, all those in favor? I'll abstain just for myself. Then I'll move to consider Jason Olson for office of vice president. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any questions on that? All right, all those in favor? Okay, and then I'll motion for a position of secretary for Dan Blackwood. Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Okay, any questions? All those in favor? All right, motion carries. Okay. All right, thank you very much on that. So then we have, Ms. Brown, we have the consider approval of hiring the athletic director.
Thank you again, Board of Trustees. So we've completed a thorough interview and selection process and are bringing to the board for consideration our recommendation for athletic director. So to that end, the administration recommends approval of the hire of the new athletic director as discussed in closed session.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is there questions or comments? No. All those in favor approving the athletic director position? All right, all those against? All right, motion carries.
So
Ms. Brown?
I'd like to officially announce that the new athletic director for Little Elm ISD will be Coach Michael Young. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we have consider approval of financial reports. Mr. Weiss?
Good evening, President Montemayor, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Gallagher. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to review our financial reports. So we're presenting a few amendments to the general fund tonight. You can see from the orange cell that we're increasing our revenue by about $476. This is revenue we collected in band classroom fees. The yellow cells represent reallocation within current budgets to purchase pre-K textbooks and K-5 reading textbooks to accommodate growth in the district. And that yellow cell carries forward onto this page. And you can see the gray cell, that's the net impact of the winter storm damage. So that's our net impact of the expenses, which are going to be about $1,025,000. And then the insurance proceeds are going to be about $990,000. So it's about $35,000 net loss there. And that flows down through a net impact in the green cell on our unexpected fund balance. Moving on to our capital outlay fund. Capital outlay fund analysis has been updated to include all approved bond projects as of May 31. All projects are on track from a budget perspective, and we have almost 33 million project budget dollars remaining on approved projects. For our debt service fund, if you look at the blue highlight, see we've collected about 99% of our revenue to date, so we're on track there. Our debt service payment in August will be a little over $17.1 million, and the orange highlighted cell is our remaining budget for the payments. There's enough to cover our August payment. And if you look at the green cell, we're currently expecting to add a little to our fund balance in the debt service fund. And the administration recommends approval of certain April 2021 financial reports as submitted.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is there questions? No questions, comments? All those in favor of approving the reports as presented? All right, motion carries. Thank you very much. Now, Ms. Flores, we did want to pull item F from consent agenda, the consider approval of Little Elm Independent School District facilities, buildings, grounds, usage, regulations, and fee schedule. Mr. Roberts? Just wanted to, Dan, you wanted to point that out?
Clarification.
Mr. Roberts, just for clarification, there was, we just had some questions regarding some of the wording. This would be on page 2.
Of the regulation handbook?
Yeah, what's in the, at least on what was presented in the board book.
Yes.
Yeah, on page 2 where it goes down to the athletic complex rental fees and the classification, the 4 classifications that's on there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it states under classification 1, district-based nonprofit groups and activities serving youth and community that serve school or district purposes. Just kind of question, this comes from a personal, basically personal experience. Just some clarification needed on there. Is an example with the band every year holds the Classic on the Lake marching contest. And according to the schedule, the way it sounds is that contest usually runs about 16 hours every day or every Saturday when we do this, or when we host a UIL, UIL I do not believe would be included in that. But according to this, it appears that would end up costing the band program or the band booster program about $15,000 at least to rent the stadium for that day. So just need a little bit of clarification. However, I did notice finally at the last minute, there is the one little note at the very end of this, at the very end of the entire thing, it does state, certain groups may be allowed to use or rent district facilities without paying a rental fee. These groups shall be classified as non-paying groups, shall be sublease, and shall not sublease district facilities. Groups can be classified as non-paying at the discretion of superintendent designee.
That's
So,
correct. We
I
don't
believe
charge
that
the
would
band
be- that-
boosters.
Understand, but however, because it's the band booster program that is running the classic, the marching contest and not the band program itself, the band booster program is a district-based nonprofit organization. So,
But just as, whether it's band boosters or any other entity that benefits our kids, we're not going to charge them.
yeah.
And I would like to say, in August of 2020, these documents that you have in your board book, starting on page 168, were brought to the board. And so the first one is the the regulation handbook that Mr. Reeves, along with several other team members, worked so diligently on to put together. That is in there where the superintendent can work with those groups. But I will also say, if there's any clarification, we felt like it was needed to bring to the board tonight, because now we can clarify on our facilities, like the middle school track, things like that, being able to be open and used, along with our baseball, softball facility now being open and used, that we needed to update pieces of these documents along with the schedule of fees. But anything like that, we'll go back and clarify and kind of clean up a little bit.
And it was just, I guess, just asking for specifically that, just clarification, because it does leave, depending on how you read it, does leave some uncertainty.
And I wrote that down too, as you were talking.
But we don't charge LIASA because we have an MOU with them. But if it's an organization that benefits our kids, we're not going to, and they're connected to the district, it's part of the district, we're not going to charge them. And,
understand,
And that's why in the regulations, it stated superintendent or designee can work with those groups. So,
Yep.
That was it. That was my only question. Thank you.
No, I did have a question as well, because I know this was to add on the fields and stuff. The two middle school turf fields, or even grass fields, are those, I didn't see where those were added in here. Or did
in the fee schedule or the regulation?
In
Mr. Montemayor?
Sorry, something popped up.
Because we did, and if you look at the changes, they are in red in both documents. And so, like, for example, on page 5, it does specifically talk about Walker Strike.
Stadium Middle School. Okay.
And then if you go down, because I made this change last minute, if you go down to page 6, the running tracks, it specifically states and talks about Strike Middle School, Walker Middle School, and those facilities. I'm sure in there I can find where it talks about those fields as well.
Okay. No, it's just, I saw stadium, so I thought that meant the stadium, but there's a middle school. Yeah, okay.
And that's what we felt like we needed to update. Since this was, done before those were open.
Okay. All right. So with that, then, is there a motion to approve the schedule here as presented and discussed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor? All right, thank you. Any other consent agenda items that anyone needs to pull? No, I'm good. All right. So thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you.
So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? With the exception of item F previously discussed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Thompson, I heard first. So all those in favor of approving the consent agenda? All right. Thank you very much. So for board comments, I just had, thank you everybody for coming out. It's a relatively short meeting, which is nice. I do miss, the parents here with some of the stuff that we do during the school year, but it is nice, for everyone to have their time here over the summer, and I'm sure we'll get to that again. So with that, is there any other board comments?
Good.
And I did have one follow-up. Considering the passage of the HB 3979 regarding the African-American studies and Hispanic character studies, we had the public speaker last month that requested a follow-up on that. And we stated we were waiting on the result of the legislature and their decision. Now that they passed their decision, can we go ahead and move forward with outlining our plans for those
Yeah.
programs?
And I want to say we didn't put anything on here because Dr. Mick is not here tonight. So we wanted to wait until she's here to be able to explain the legislation. And so we'll bring that back. She'll be back tomorrow. So
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on that since that was in the public comments, and I think it was only about 2 weeks ago that the governor signed it. So it's right on topic. So I just wanted to follow up with it and see where we stood. So other than that, I'm done. I'm good. Okay.
The only items I had was just to see if by next meeting we could get just an update on, because of COVID-related situation last year, what items can we bring back this summer, such as, I know back to school bash, convocation, are those things coming back?
everything's back.
Okay.
We're having convocation. We've got back to school bash. Cecilia's shaking her head. So
The other one was, because I don't think we've done this in the last couple of years, I'd like some follow-up on, is fifth graders going into sixth grade and incoming ninth graders, if we're doing any type of introduction. Because we did that several years ago where those kids came in, and we haven't done that, I think, in the last couple of years.
Let's talk about that because I do want to I don't know, we didn't do it last year, obviously, because of COVID.
Right. Because I don't think we've done it in the last 3.
Right, and we actually are going to do like their first day where they'll be able to go to their classrooms and get oriented to the building and things like that. So
We'll do a report on that at a future board meeting. So we jot that down. But yes, we are going back to convocation and it's going to be good. We have the date, which we'll get it to the board members, and we have our speaker. So it's going to be it's nice to get back to normalcy.
All right, so with that, there's superintendent comments?
Yeah, board members, just thank you again. Very good board meeting. I want to thank our team. Again, thank you, Mr. Reeves, for your service to the district. And just I want to thank our new members and also one returning. Thank you so much for joining Little Elm ISD. We really appreciate it. And Frank, we're excited to have you in this new role as well. So thank you all very much.
All right, so with that, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right, so we adjourn at 8:14 PM.